I find it helpful to break down the aggressive personality types into a few subgroups. Now, remember that all of the aggressive personalities have much more in common than they have differences between them. And also remember that all of the aggressive personalities have a lot in common with the narcissistic or egotistic personalities. As a matter of fact, some researchers and some theoreticians see all of the aggressive personalities as just basically an aggressive variant of the narcissist. As a matter of fact, it's hard to think of any of the aggressive personalities that don't have every feature that the narcissist has. But they are more predisposed to forcefully and actively seeking positions of dominance over others and actively seeking to advance themselves at the expense of others. The first subgroup that I categorize, I call the unbridled aggressive. This is the openly aggressive personality who is basically at war with everybody and everything. And these folks most often end up spending a lot of their lives incarcerated, and we have traditionally called these folks antisocial personalities. These are the folks who understand what the rules are. They've been told repeatedly. They've even been consequented many times, perhaps, for violating them. So they understand the rules. They are simply at war with them. And as I mentioned before, having features of the narcissistic or egotistic personalities, a lot of them see themselves as above the rules. But the main thing is that they are at war with them, and so they violate them without compunction. Another group I call the channeled aggressives. These are individuals who generally keep their aggression confined to socially acceptable outlets. They make great drill sergeants and wonderful professional sports team players. I am not saying that all drill sergeants or all sports team players are channeled aggressive personalities. I'm just saying that this is the kind of activity that a channeled aggressive personality might gravitate toward. Now, what distinguishes these folks from their more assertive, as opposed to aggressive counterparts, is that channeled aggressives don't channel their aggression out of any sense of right and wrong or boundaries. Rather, they see practical value in conducting their bids for superiority and dominance in acceptable ways, because they don't want to be encumbered in life. They don't want to be ever incarcerated. They don't want to have their freedom limited in any way. So they generally confine their activities to socially acceptable outlets. But if they think that there's a really good shot that they can get away with violating the major rules, they will, without any compunction. And sometimes they do get caught, which is why it's not a big surprise these days when, unfortunately, some of these folks, especially professional sportsmen, get uncovered doing some of the dastardly things that we've seen them do, and they have to pay the price. So they're not like assertive personalities who are careful to respect the boundaries and the limits and the rules. They're fighters through and through. And they generally keep it confined. But they do that for the most part because they don't want any interference, and they recognize that if they get caught, or if they're too open, or they're too broad with their aggressive behavior, they could get stopped, or they could get sanctions socially, and they don't want that. Then another group is a very rare group, but they're worth talking about because for most aggressive personalities, hurting people is not the objective. Remember, as I defined human aggression, it's about the forceful attempt to secure a goal and without regard to appropriate limits and boundaries. So for most aggressive personalities, it's about the win. It's about getting what they want, when they want it, from whom they want it. It's not about hurting in particular. Now, if you have to get hurt in the process, they have no problems with that. But that's not the objective. The objective is, I'm going to have what I want. And I'm going to get it however I have to get it. If I have to run over you, well, it's just part of the game. But my purpose is not to run over you, and especially not to cause you pain. That's not the purpose. That happens, I'm okay. With the sadistic personality, the third subtype, demeaning people, hurting people, making them ache is an end goal. This is another way that they feel victorious, superior, and dominant. And they love that feeling. Remember, it's all about, can I say this enough? Position, position, position. And there's no greater example of this than in the behavior of the sadistic personality. It gives them an inordinate thrill to have a position of dominance over somebody else. They want to see somebody else in that one down, groveling position. It just warms the cockles of their heart to see somebody else in desperate straits because it makes them feel so superior, so powerful. Fortunately, these folks are rather rare. And fortunately, what we see more often are other aggressive personality types who have some sadistic traits. But I have to tell you that there are some sadists out there, and they can really wreak some havoc in the lives of their victims.